As we live, we're told a great many things about life. Prolific poet Robert Burns said, "In 3 words I can sum up everything I've learned about life. It goes on." Mae West offered up, "You may only live once, but if you do it right, once is enough." And perhaps most poignantly, author Oscar Wilde offered up, "To live is the rarest thing in the world. Most people exist, that is all." What follows may not achieve the status of quotable material, but it's what I consider the culmination of these 3 quotes. It's my life. I was born on July 23rd, 1996 in Kitchener, Ontario to my parents Megan and Sean. I was also born the youngest of 3 boys. My older brothers Mac and Chandler make sure I never forget that. It all seems very run-of-the-mill, boilerplate, pedestrian stuff. But as it turns out, there was one hitch. I had been born on July 23rd, when September 23rd would have been more appropriate. I was born 2 months premature, and as a result, my life changed forever. In the course of my premature birth, I experienced a brain hemorrhage and was diagnosed with spastic diplegia, a neuromuscular condition and offshoot of cerebral palsy. If you were to look up this condition on the internet, it would tell you it's characterized by stiffness, tightness, and spasticity, or some simple variation of these 3 things. For me, on top of that, it has been characterized by physical, emotional, and social insecurity, accentuated by discomfort and disillusion I shudder to remember. But it could have been so much worse. For the first 5 years of my life, I was confined to crawling, using a walker, or riding sloth style in my mother's arms. When I was first born and diagnosed, doctors were extremely concerned with my physical longevity and well-being. With the proclamation that I would never walk under my own power in my lifetime, and other visual and fine motor impairments, looking back, it seems as if the doctors were telling my parents any semblance of a fulfilling, semi-normal life would be out of reach. It was tough. It's still tough, really. Even the most menial task can leave me sapped. But somehow, I persisted. Maybe it's because I was young. Maybe it's because I had my family supporting me. Maybe it's because I didn't know any better. Probably it was some combination of these 3 things. Somehow, I kept fighting. Finally, coming up on my 5th birthday, my dad got a job offer in Vancouver, and as he prepared for his opportunity of a lifetime, it turned out mine was also right around the corner. When we moved out to Vancouver, doctors at BC Children's Hospital made my parents aware of an operation called a dorsal rhizotomy that could possibly grant me the ability to walk. Now, the dorsal rhizotomy, without getting into too much graphic or wordy detail, essentially involved slicing open my back, fiddling around with the nerve and nerve endings in my spinal cord, and hoping things worked out. There was tremendous risk. I could have ended up partially paralyzed if the procedure didn't go according to plan, and even if I left the operating table no worse than before, months of grueling work and rehab meant any tangible improvement was far from guaranteed. The risks were weighed, and in the end, there was really no decision to be made. You don't pass up opportunities like that. The operation was surreal on many levels. Before it occurred, the surgeon told me a procedure of this magnitude would most likely wipe out many of my previous memories. While I did still remember fragments and family, I woke up in more than one sense after the anesthetic wore off. I remember waking up being strapped to the bed and frightened, my family telling me it was all okay, it had all gone well, I just couldn't move about until everything had settled. I left with this. To everyone's surprise, not with an affinity for the cuisine. What followed was months and months, and then some more months of gut-wrenching rehab, which to say I couldn't have gone through without my dad by my side every morning, pushing me, rooting for me, believing in me, would be a Herculean understatement. I used to get so mad at my dad. Tantrums were a regular occurrence. The rehab seemed fruitless. I didn't know what the point was. I was just wasting my so limited energy, and I couldn't understand why we kept plugging away in futility. He never let me quit, though. Just do one more sit-up, one more donkey kick. He'd spur me on. In a matter of months, I went from this to this. So I finally made it. It wasn't easy, and it remains just that way. I still grapple with daily pain. I've had operations on my legs, eyes, and back. I go routinely for Botox, and until post-secondary intervened, weekly physio was a must. I wake up some days back at square one, and the very next day pretty decent. It's been miraculous and maddening all at once. But hey, life's a beach compared to what it could have been. I've been able to do this, and this, and most importantly, this.